welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me as always is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
Well, back again, another week. We have survived yet another week. We are back on schedule.
Yes, finally.
We haven't forgotten anything. I don't think. I think everything's in line. We're indeed going to be talking about the subject that we hinted at last week.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk about Thrawn.
Oh, I thought it was Bad Batch.
Bad Batch? Has that come out yet? I don't
Yeah,
think it has.
yesterday, right?
I don't know. I didn't text you saying that I couldn't find it, so it must have, and I forgot.
Yes. God, that whole mistake was insane with Bad Batch. I don't know what happened, man. Still scratching my head. But anyway, we are going to look at the first season of Rebels.
That's right.
Something
we've been kind of holding off on for a little while now.
Yeah, I mean, we've there's always stuff to go over, and we are going to get a little bit of a log jam here when we get into May with Bad Batch and then Thrawn. But I mean, why not? It sounded like a good time. To kind of go through it. And, we finished off Resistance earlier in the year. Figured we'd get a little bit more anime action on the show.
Higher quality anime action at that.
Oh, man. There he goes again.
Led by preference, of course.
Yeah, so, again, Season 1, which was 15 episodes.
24-minute runtime, roughly.
Yeah, exactly. And here was kind of an interesting thing I was looking at. I don't know if you want to call this pilot episode, because there were a couple of shorts beforehand.
The short movie premiere.
Yeah, basically episodes 1 and 2. It rated a 2.74. So
out of
no. Viewers, like viewership rating.
Okay.
So essentially, almost 3 million viewers.
Wow.
When
did that come out?
October 3rd, 2014.
Okay.
I just thought that was kind of interesting, because the reason it's interesting to me is because the drop-off was significant. So
was it?
Episode 3 was just over 1 million, and then it basically settled on 500,000 sort of deal.
Wow.
Pretty consistently. Season 2 was very consistent. Yeah. It's kind of funny. And then, gosh, Season 4 really dropped down.
Which is funny, because that's what everyone talks about.
Well, this was doing its run on Disney XD, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I forgot about that at the time.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the thing throughout the entire series, but I do remember Disney XD, and I also think that I don't know, probably started my run of not having cable during the run of this show.
Really?
So where would I have gotten Disney XD?
Right.
Wouldn't.
And would you have really had the motivation not having any idea what this show was like, just to search out Disney at the time?
Well, a little historical kind of story here. So there was a podcast called Rebel Watch, and that was ran by a couple friends of mine that, after we had kind of all reconnected, I appeared on from time to time. And, I mean, it's called Rebel Watch because they started it kind of with Rebels.
Right.
So that was kind of one of the, so it was Rebel Watch. And I remember watching, I think it was maybe the last season with them, because that's around the time we kind of reconnect. Or maybe it was the I don't know, third season. It doesn't really matter. Might have been the third season. We kind of got back together and started hanging out again.
So you started not knowing what was happening at all, basically.
Yeah.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, pretty much, because again, I mean, we didn't have Disney Plus, and I mean, the DVDs were out and everything, but I refuse to pay for like TV show compilation, whatever Blu-rays,
they get
because
expensive. They get ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, they are super expensive. I think I actually have. I'm pretty sure I have all of Rebels on Blu-ray, and then I also might have some Clone Wars on Blu-ray, but that's like half price bookstore type of thing.
Right. Otherwise, you're dropping $300-$400 for all of Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, probably. But anyway, that show was sort of my introduction to podcasting in general. Mm-hmm. And again, I mean, a lot of it was, kind of at the start of Rebels was really at the core. And then, of course, just all the current news. And there was so much going on then, so much speculation. It was a fun time. Unfortunately, that show is no longer there. That podcast is no longer out there. It's split into two separate shows. So Hyperspace Hangout or Flying Casual. Right? Is that Mike's show's name? Flying Casual.
I haven't heard you mention that one before, I don't think.
I always I don't know. There's so much in my brain that I try and keep track of. I'm pretty sure it's Flying Casual. I mean, I usually have it downloaded, but I haven't really been listening to podcasts like at all. Yeah, Flying Casual. I was right. So anyway, they've split off into two separate shows, both good shows. You should go listen to them. And they do kind of different things, but they also do current news. I mean, you should listen to us more than both of them.
Or anyone we mention, really.
Yeah. I mean, you should always make sure you listen to us twice to 3 times as much as any other podcast in existence. Even the big ones.
I mean, let's be honest. If you're a true Star Wars fan, are you really watching like Star Wars Theory and all of them more than us?
No, they're all watching Mike Zero. So, goodness, good times. But anyway, yeah, those were good times. But yeah, that's kind of how I really got into podcasting, was through that particular podcast, and then we started our thing. Whenever.
Yeah.
However many years ago it's been, just talking.
Like 2.5 now, something like that.
Well, I think we started either in June or July, so we're actually coming up on another year marker. So I think that makes 3 sometime.
Wow,
yeah, kind of wild, isn't it?
Wonder how many hours of content we have out there now.
Well, I mean, it's
checking out sometime. We talk a lot.
It's been elevated because if you remember, God, this is like weird memory lane episode. It must just because it's later in the day or something.
Yeah.
But there were times when we struggled to really hit that hour mark.
Well, remember, we were hitting an hour mark with a discussion of one chapter of a book at a time, though. So that's still not that terrible.
Good distinction. But even when we were doing like, after we kind of moved away from New Jedi Order and just started doing, current events, content, because around that time we were sort of blitzed with the, sequel trilogy. Anyway, I don't really want to think about timelines because it makes my brain hurt.
Well, I know one of the first reviews we did was Solo. Probably 5 or 6 months after it came out.
Well, we tried to do Solo.
Well, yes, it was an epic 3-hour tale of just. It was an amazing review. It was probably the best review ever done of anything. And
to be honest with you, and again, I'd have to go back and look at archives. I know we did Solo stuff, but I also remember us doing like lead up to Rise of Skywalker because we did the Snoke theories and everything. So I'm pretty sure we did that first, and then I know we did a Solo review, and we actually redid it, and then put it out much later. But I'm pretty sure that it was basically before Last Jedi that we started doing more of like the current news and events. And remember how we had a structure like let's move into Jedi Council, and let's do. Yeah,
HoloNet back then seems so much easier than it is now because news is just so. It's hit or miss. I mean, Sometimes you'll have an amazing story that we'll actually plan a episode around, but most of the time, before we even start recording, it's like, did you see anything good to talk about? No. What about you? No. Well, we'll skip it.
Well, that is, in my opinion, the power of movies, like the blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
Because, again, when we were doing that, we had Last Jedi, we had Solo, then we had Rise of Skywalker, like pretty much bang, 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 pretty quickly.
Right. And we were salivating over any little detail that we could come up with.
Well, the entire Star Wars verse was. It was just like...
Yeah. Everyone was doing theories constantly. It was a good time, honestly.
Yeah, who was Snoke?
Yeah. Yeah, looking back now, it's like, oh my God, we wasted so much time on that.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I mean, it's true, though. There was a lot going on at the time, and it's funny because we are facing down a lot of content, yet it feels less busy than it did then.
Well, it's little bites of content, I feel like. Nothing is a big push to get through it right now.
Yeah, and I also, and we've mentioned this before, like some of the new content, it feels like people really aren't talking about it at all.
No, it's weird. Like I've noticed lately, High Republic, it was so silent. I don't know how much you really looked into like reviews and whatnot, people discussing it, but like the first few weeks High Republic hit, there's just nothing. No one was talking about it. Nobody cared. And now there's just this onslaught of people saying, it's not even like aggressive. It's just like, we're talking about Star Wars stuff. We'll bring up High Republic's but no one really cares about that. I mean, it's just a disaster and it's just terrible. It's like, well, okay, that's a bit harsh. I don't feel it's a disaster. It's not the most exciting thing ever, but like people are super down on High Republic right now.
Yeah, I know you were talking about that. I think really the last big thing to hit was Mandalorian. Everybody was talking about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it feels like there's a split right now between High Republic and like everything that Favreau and Filoni are doing. It's weird. It's like we have one side defending them and the other side, well, I can't even say there's a side for High Republic because I don't see many advocates out there. But it just seems like that's the split right now.
Well, actually, and I'll tell you this, if you think back to the books tied to Galaxy's Edge, there were people talking about those at the time. Yeah, true. And not all good things, truthfully. Well, it all depends, but I think the contrast though is that I feel like the High Republic is more thorough than the Galaxy's Edge tie-in books were. Not that they were bad, it just they were not as grandiose as stories. And High Republic is here trying to, instead of just building like a planet, the planet of Batuu or like some region, this is basically building an entire era. Yeah. And people just aren't really seem to be talking about it. I'll be interested to see what happens with Thrawn. What was our latest Queen's book? It was Queen's Peril, right?
Yes, I believe so.
we got to think about that. I didn't even really remember anything crazy happening with that. Like people talking about that, which I thought was kind of ridiculous. Even the Afra audio drama that didn't get it. I mean, that got a little bit.
I don't remember hearing anyone talk about that at all.
Alphabet Squadron, not much on that.
Honestly, though, I'll tell you what, Alphabet has a very strong fan base. A lot of people cling to that series. It's honestly, I would say it's one of the most popular right now. Just based on before we did our review, I wanted to hear a lot of other people's perspective of the series as a whole because I didn't feel like rereading them all, so I figured that'd be a good place to get it. Yeah, no bad reviews of it. People are just
interesting
in love with that series.
Well, I mean, there's a ton of Star Wars podcasts. Like, what are they all talking about anymody Maybe we should actually start actually listening.
Be a part of the community a little bit. Actually interact with others. That'd be cool.
Well, it's not even just that. It's just my listening has been way down on podcasts. Yeah, there are a ton that I subscribe to. I just don't always listen to them.
You go through stages, you know.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't like their content. It's not even boring. I just don't feel like it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's weird time.
Is there something else to replace it right now, or it's just like I don't care either way?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm just not consuming, as much of that sort of stuff as I was. Don't know what to tell you. But anyway, we're about 15 minutes in. So how was your week?
Not too bad. Pretty uneventful. I swear the past couple months we are so exciting hearing us talk about our weeks.
Yeah, well, there's not much going on yet. I'm just doing, projects and stuff. I take my truck to get that little bit of rust taken care of.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go?
No, I'm taking it in Monday.
Oh, you're taking it in Monday. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm driving her down and checked with them today, make sure they had all the parts, and they do. So they're going to do that.
Good time to sell it. Sell it. Make some money.
I don't even own it outright. So
honestly, you probably could still make some money on it. Trucks are so expensive right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily want to do that, though. I've thought about it, but I figured I'd just pay it off and then, lease a car.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
It's cheap.
Keep the
truck.
It is
cheap and very... I mean, you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely autopilot with that.
Yeah, no doubt. So, we'll see. But no, nothing crazy interesting at the moment either. Just, bumbling through things and working and all that good jazz. Yep. Yeah. Anything else we want to yak at, or you think you're ready to get into season 1 here?
I have been ready. I am excited for this one.
All right. Well, Rebels season 1.
It's terrible. It's god awful.
Terrible person. Rebels is my favorite cartoon series. I think that they tell very interesting stories. And I think that it tops all the others, personally. I like the characters. And it just, I don't know. It works on a lot of different levels for me.
Yeah, I feel pretty much the same way. I am very fond of Clone Wars myself. I mean, but for different reasons, I would say. The thing about Clone Wars is it helps build on these characters we already love, and you get a little more backstory. But with Rebels, you have so many amazing characters introduced. I mean, and you fall in love so quickly with all these characters. I mean, truthfully, Jabba's probably one of my favorite droids in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, he's got some personality. Just kind of
short. He's not a weird fembot.
Yeah, sort of. So
not a weird fembot, I said.
Yeah. So, character list, I mean, Ezra Bridger, Kanan Jarrus, Harrison Dula, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Sabine Wren, Zeb Aurelios, Chopper, and then, we have Agent Callus, and we start to introduce other characters as the season goes, or as the seasons go by. Captain Rex comes in season 2. Darth Maul is in here in season 2. Thrawn, obviously, towards the end. And then, the Grand Inquisitor. There's Vader pops in. Ahsoka. Tarkin. Palpatine, eventually. Erlinda Price.
Lando.
The governor. Yep, Lando. Saul Guerrero. Mon Mothma. I mean...
Old R2 and C3.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a pretty wide variety. Even Wedge Antilles.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yep, younger Wedge. So we have the always entertaining Freddie Prinze Jr. who voices Kanan Jarrus.
I forgot about that, honestly.
Most people do.
Probably for good reason.
Well, yeah. Well, it's funny because, I think some of the speculation is thinking about the possibility for the Ahsoka series to bring in the Bridger storyline. So as opposed to doing something so Ahsoka centered, you have basically Rebels season 5.
Yeah.
In live action. So you start to think about the characters and like, so Taylor Gray voiced Ezra Bridger, and like if you actually look at a picture of him, I don't know. I mean, why not use him?
Right.
He kind of looks a little. I don't know. I think that they're trying to nail a certain aesthetic because, like, I guess, like ethnically, Ezra's kind of like, I guess, closer to like maybe like Asian sort of. I guess some of it's a bit ambiguous, but there again, so much in anime gets ambiguous too.
It does. There's a lot of people, ironically enough, that which I don't really see because of the skin color, but a lot of people compare him to Aladdin in a way, and they even say like in the first episode, like calling him a street rat and everything. The story is kind of reminiscent of that.
Sure. Yeah, there was a live action Aladdin too, wasn't there? I don't think I ever watched that.
I haven't either.
But Tia Sakar, who voiced Sabine, I mean, honestly, I could see her just playing Sabine.
Yeah. It wouldn't be that difficult.
I don't. Yeah, I don't see how that would be all that difficult. I'll be honest. I really do think like Vanessa Marshall, who voiced Ahsoka, dude, or not Ahsoka, who voiced Hera. It's like, dude, paint her green, man. Give her some leg
really?
cues.
I haven't seen her.
Just let her do it. I mean, she's got like amazing like eyes, you know, just a very like emotive looking face. I don't know. I was. Looks like she's mainly just done voice acting. I mean, pretty. Wow. Has she done any live action at all? Not much.
Not at all.
Wow.
Really.
I mean, Law and Order, like just TV. Oh, she was in Scrubs?
Huh. Really?
Just
like
one episode.
Oh.
I am looking up this character because I'm curious.
It's Scrubs. I probably remember the character. I love Scrubs.
Yeah, that was a good. Of course, whatever. I'm never gonna find this. It's fine. I don't care. Oh, they have the episode. Let's look that up because this is Star Wars, man. Goodness, what was this episode even? Season 3. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember this episode. Yeah, old JD has 48 hours to kiss Elliot. Oh, that's so funny.
Didn't we find out recently that Turk played one of the Resistance characters?
Yeah, I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, though. Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the ace pilots.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not worth looking up. Let's just move on. I'm sorry, rabbit hole.
Anyway, Vanessa Marshall, I don't know, just like there's something even about her that I just like, just do it. Put her in some face.
Just do it.
Green. Make her green and let her go. I think that'd be sick.
You said she even has the eyes for it because Hera's eyes are so.
It's just
they put a lot of effort
something.
into Hera's eyes.
I mean, look up a picture of her. She just. I don't know. I could see it. I could just, for some reason, I see it. And I think like some of these actors they've just been the voices of these people so long that it's just really hard to disentangle with them.
Yeah, I mean, even with the
Ashley
voice,
Eckstein is.
I was just
going
to say it'd be hard to imagine anything other than her just voice acting.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that there can be a little controversy about it, but obviously live action Ahsoka with Rosario Dawson, I mean, that was sick.
Right. Yeah.
And that's one we had been talking about, though, for a while before she even appeared. But anyway, so let's go ahead and just jump in here to episode 1 and 2, which essentially were the opening episode. Spark of the Rebellion. We meet all of our characters here. We have our crew of the Ghost trying to steal some blasters, and Ezra gets involved here, picking up on an opportunity. And he winds up kind of going off with our crew here.
Very reluctantly on both parties'
here's
behalfs.
The thing. He has a crate full of blasters. What is he going to do with them?
Right. Who's he selling that to?
Hey guys, you want a blaster? I got blasters for real cheap over here.
No, get away. Get away from me. You're going to get me killed.
It was so funny. But we do get in the very beginning where Ezra and Kanan both feel each other through the Force, which was cool. So you get this the storyline which runs through the entire series of Ezra's Force sensitivity and essentially training to be a Jedi and learning that Kanan, who we see as a Jedi here, is he never really passed for a Jedi Knight, and we know about his struggles through Order 66, and obviously Kanan Jarrus isn't even his real name, but we'll get to that later. And I think that there's a nice, lighthearted banter about this whole show too, with Zeb and Ezra and Chopper.
Yeah,
Sabine's kind of sassiness,
Hera just punching everybody.
Yeah. Well, Hera and Kanan are kind of like the parents to an unruly sort of family. And you have weird Uncle Zeb and crazy Grandpa Chopper,
Yeah. And the children that awkwardly are into each other slightly.
Well, let's not go that far. They're not related, but
you were talking about family.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Ezra and his kind of lame attempts to hit on Sabine. Those are always fun.
You know what I smell like?
Oh, God. So we also get in these first two episodes where Ezra finds Kanan's lightsaber and the holocron that displays Obi-Wan's message to the remaining Jedi. And while on a mission to help save some Wookiees, they realize that they're in a trap, and this Agent Callus comes through and captures Ezra after, essentially Zeb kind of screws up getting out,
Yeah.
Do we blame Zeb for leaving Ezra behind? Yes, I do.
The whole crew does, so we should too.
Yes. And, Ezra is able to open the holocron as he is sort of in his cell. Mm-hmm. And that's a really neat moment of seeing Obi-Wan reaching out to the Jedi and, effectively telling them that everything has changed. Don't go to the temple, trust in the Force. It's very neat. It's good to see little holographic Obi-Wan again.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Well, we do get a rescue, and we also get a really epic moment with Kanan facing down the Imperial soldiers here, and they're
revealing himself essentially.
Exactly, yeah, revealing himself as a Jedi, and along with the Wookiees, which we do finally save.
Yeah,
they're able to defeat Agent Callus and his goons and escape. And towards the end of this, Kanan kind of gives Ezra a chance or an option or a choice. Doesn't really physically give it to them, but it's implied, and Ezra is basically going to become his apprentice for this time. So it was a good episode. It's a good opening.
Yes.
To the series, I think.
Yeah, I can see why the viewership on that is so high. It is a very, very good, solid 2-episode arc.
Yep. I agree. Well, our next episode, Droids in Distress, because...
Yes, because they have to be in everything.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely everything.
Well, we do get to see some old friends, C-3PO and R2-D2. Mm-hmm. who are basically undercover here.
Yeah.
Of course, only R2 knows that.
Undercover droids.
Yes. Well, Minister Tua here has a shipment of some disruptor weapons, which seems like it's infringing a bit on another universe, but hey, whatever.
No, they've never done that. They never will.
Yeah, I guess. And we also get a little bit more into the background of Agent Callus, as he has one of the, bow rifles that are used by the Lasats. And we do learn throughout the series that Callus was basically involved in kind of the fall of Lasat and or
basically
Lasat,
the genocide,
essentially. And how Zeb was he was like a captain in the honor guard.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have a duel, but Callus is kind of not, he's kind of a little superior at this moment, but Ezra is able to save him, kind of really displaying his first sort of like use of the Force, kind of instinctively, which is interesting. And again, as a reoccurring motif, they're able to escape.
Yeah.
You darn kids. Then we return our two droids to their rightful owner, of course, Bail Organa, who this is really where we learn how important Bail was to the rebellion, the early rebellion, and all of his efforts. And that's why I give so much respect.
Bail's an amazing character that needs a little more attention, in my opinion.
Yeah, it would have been cool to just, God, I don't know. You could go deeper with the Organas in general. Episode 4, Fighter Flight. Goodness. This was kind of a fun.
It's
not
goofy.
really.
It's very goofy.
It was not like a story advancing episode necessarily.
It was later on when you think about it.
True, but it's kind of more of a character building episode, which is nice. Ezra and Zeb are fighting, and I think this was also the episode where Sabine isn't this the one where she
the art
spray paints their room and all that, like at the end?
Yeah, they're having this fight because Ezra keeps throwing out there, "Oh, I saved your life. I saved your life. I saved your life. You owe me a life debt." And Chopper's just, adding fuel to the fire. And Sabine's like, you know what? They're gone. I'm just going to deface their room.
Yes. And in kind of classic tropey fashion, Hera sends them out to find Meluron fruit, which apparently is very rare.
Which is odd that Ezra didn't know that. And then, they have the realization, it's like, duh, that doesn't grow here.
Right. Well, they do have some, but the entire shipment was bought by the Empire. Oh, no. What should we do?
What is the Empire doing with Meluron?
Eating them, dude.
Is it a delicacy? Is that going to Tarkin? Or
it's
going to Papa Pop?
Who knows, man. But instead of giving up, they decide they're going to steal it from the Empire, and they wind up hijacking a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
This was cool, but we had the part about the tracking device, and a little fun about. Did you disable it? Oh yeah, of course we disabled it. Oh,
the blue one.
No, it's the blue one.
It's both of them.
Yeah. Oh yes. We also meet another character here, Morad Sumar, who was a friend of Ezra's parents. And the Empire is doing what they do here. At first, they are trying to just buy property, buy land, and then they take it by force. So Morad was essentially being bullied off of his land. Ezra and Zeb are able to rescue him, and they return to the Ghost. But after supposedly, crashing the TIE fighter. Right?
Yeah, totally crashed it.
Yeah. But in the end, they learned a lesson that they were friends
Power
after
of
all.
Friendship.
They got their
Chopper,
friendship
who didn't learn
rings.
anything. He's still going to mess with them because he's a little insane.
Oh, yes. Episode 5, Rise of the Old Masters. This was an interesting episode to me in a lot of ways. One, because of the frustration that Kanan displays when teaching Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
And then the kind of attempted rescue of Master Luminara.
Yeah. Yeah, the frustration here does kind of parallel Master and Apprentice a little bit. Obviously, that being out well after this episode, but still, it's kind of cool to see another Master dealing with this issue. Just kind of feeling like they weren't the right fit to train.
Well, Luminara is someone we saw in Clone Wars, both in the movie and in the television show.
Mm-hmm.
And they essentially, our crew here are led to believe that Luminara is still alive and being held in a high security prison.
Mm-hmm.
So Kanan's idea here is to rescue Luminara and essentially kind of do a Qui-Gon Jinn, reverse Qui-Gon Jinn, because he didn't actually wind up...
potato.
He didn't wind up dumping Obi-Wan, but he was close. Essentially moving Ezra over to a real master. And I think a lot of the frustration is really more Kanan, not really Ezra's fault. It's more Kanan thinking he's not really worthy to be a master at this point.
Well, he really never even got through his own training, so it's very understandable why he would feel like he couldn't train someone else.
Yep.
And let's be honest, Obi-Wan didn't either.
True. Now, unfortunately, when Kanan and Ezra do find Luminara, she has actually been long deceased. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of using her energy as a projection to trap Jedi, essentially. And we then reveal the Inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, Ezra and Kanan are really no match for the Inquisitor. However, they are able to escape, and Ezra does, kind of talk with Kanan about sort of his frustrations about you're just trying to pawn me off.
Yeah.
And we get more of a resolve here that, Kanan is nah, it's fine, dude. We're totally cool. It's like, I'll be your master. It's fine. I won't try and pawn you off again. Oh, Master Obi-Wan. Hey, do you want an apprentice?
Right. Yoda, you're talking to me. Hey, by the way, I've got this kid.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to train another one of these little dorks, would you? Oh, goodness. But an interesting episode there. Unfortunately, the end of Master Luminara was not great.
No. Very gruesome indeed.
Yeah, well, Order 66 was bad for all of them. Smart plan, though, by the dark side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we tend to do that.
Yeah, I guess. Next up, episode 6, Breaking Ranks. This was fascinating. Just that they were able to do what they did in this episode, and they didn't. It's like, well, how?
Yeah,
how,
right.
So Ezra goes undercover at an Imperial Academy. So he's going in as going in as a cadet. It's getting late, apparently.
I don't know. Maybe they had to go in debt to be Imperial stormtroopers.
They might have.
That'd be a good scheme. They're working to pay off their debt as stormtroopers.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, Emperor would do that.
Student loan debt to the academy.
Hey, that's how you pay for the Death Star, man.
Honey, we can't afford it. I still have to pay off my Imperial Academy loan debt. You've been holding that over my head for so long.
They didn't train you very well. You can't even hit the broadside of the barn.
Maybe if you would have trained a little bit harder, you would have been an officer by now, and we would have been getting paid. Oh, goodness. What a terrible, terrible bit of impression we just did. Just terrible. Well, Ezra does befriend a few of the other cadets here. And
then quickly loses one of those friends.
True. Well, it's interesting some of the tests they're being put through, right? Mm-hmm. To test their ability. And obviously Ezra has a little bit of an advantage with the Force. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, this does get him flagged. Yeah. Essentially. He's basically doing too good. But in the very beginning, he's helping his friends to complete these courses, which of course kind of even though
flags
this was
them again.
Right. Well, I mean this was a little bit more prevalent with the First Order when we're talking about them, mm-hmm. especially with Resistance.
Yeah, yeah.
And Tam, kind of helping out fellow pilot, and that being construed as wrong in the First Order. It's still kind of similar here. You're meant to dominate. It's not really about helping anyone. So even with that, Ezra kind of learns through this that I have to win. So he does start to leave his friends behind here. But they also flag, what was his name? J. Kell or Jai Kell? Jai. How would you pronounce that?
Jai.
Yeah.
Jekyll.
Oh,
Kell. J. Kell.
Okay, J. Kell. Yeah, jeez. You're just trying. Jackal. It's a jackal. Is it a jackal? It's a jackal. It's a jackal.
You just want it to be.
Okay. And we also get, like, if you remember, like Ezra trying to. What was he trying to? He was just trying to steal information from one of the offices. It was a data pad.
Yeah, it was
like information on a data pad, and
I have no idea what it was. I think they do say what it is, but I lost it.
Well, I mean, it was something about a shipment of kyber crystals. I believe was the end game of it. Anyway, the Grand Inquisitor does show up, and Ezra learns that he's essentially going to be like questioning him and Jackal here. And this is sort of where we start to get our resolution. What a field trip! Hey, let's take a ride in a walker.
Yeah,
what a reward, man! And two of our characters who wind up sort of befriending Ezra do take this walker, and they stun one of the other troopers, and even funnier is like here comes Ezra. He's like. All the really gray skinned trainers, I guess, were like, oh, look at him. He's trying to take out the bad guys one-on-one. He's trying to take on the walker. Oh, look at him go. Look at that kid go. Anyway, again, Ezra is able to escape. He takes Jay with them, and Zar Leonis winds up staying as kind of a pseudo spy, and his story is like his sister. Wasn't it his sister went missing?
His sister goes missing. She was was she in the academy, or was she a trooper?
I think she was in the academy, and she went missing. So he was actually more looking for her. He had some ulterior motives, but he's still there, and then the other two leave. So that's kind of that. Moving into episode 7, Out of Darkness. And this one, I actually view this as a little bit more character building when you think about it. But instead of it being Ezra and Zeb, it's more about Hera and Sabine. And the premise here is, so the Phantom, right? Phantom is their little mini ship. It's the mini ship that attaches to the ship. Yeah. And Chopper basically screwing around with Ezra and Zeb, and they forget to do a full rundown of the Phantom. Fuel leak. Yeah. I mean, fairly important, I would say. Well, Hera and Sabine head to an abandoned asteroid base on a tip from Fulcrum. And Sabine is like, she needs to know more. Mm-hmm. And she feels like she's not trusted, I think, and she doesn't really feel like she's being told what's up. And she needs to know more.
Yeah,
doesn't like to be kept in the dark.
We kind of get a few times where she comments like, hey, this is starting to feel like when I was at the Imperial Academy. They're not telling me everything. I need to know what I'm fighting for. I need to know that you have my back and you trust me to have yours. Yeah, exactly. Well, en route to the asteroid base, eventually, they get there, but the fuel leak winds up being a problem. They are stranded on the base, which is infested with those weird creatures. Batwolves.
Yeah. Kind of an interesting thing. They have like masks, but their skin.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, kind of an interesting premise, though, with the whole they can only be out in like darkness. So, like, if a rock in the asteroid field like crosses over the sun or whatever star that's there,
yeah,
they can't like go out, or they can go out and get them. I don't know. I thought that was
they're essentially vampires.
Interesting. Yeah, kind of. Well, they are able to escape. The Phantom was left there, wasn't it? I don't think they took the Phantom with them on the.
Well, they get it back at one point unless they
later
buy a new one. But yes, they do.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Well, Ezra ends up going back there later on. Maybe they bring it back then.
Yeah, I think that was the point, is that they retrieve it later, but it was left there for the time being because, again, they're being swarmed by these beasts. So they do have to get out of there, and they do. And again, we kind of have this little bit of a growth moment where Sabine starts to get over some of her issues, and, Hera has faith in her. So, they're good. Mm-hmm. Quick problem resolution. It's great.
Everybody happy.
I guess. Let's see. Moving on to episode 8, Empire Day. Empire Propaganda Day. Yes. How great's the Emperor, man? Oh yeah, I love Empire Day. It's the best day ever.
Pops. Pops.
Goodness. Yes, what a bit of propaganda. Yeah. So we get in this episode a little bit of this animal power.
Yeah. Because every Jedi has that ability now, apparently.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, the connection with animals. Come on, don't you want to connect with that Loth cat? Of course you do, Ezra. Just do it, man. It does wind up becoming a pretty big part for Ezra, though.
It is extremely important near the end. Yes, of course.
Yeah. So we start to get the new prototype for the TIE, which we learn more in the Thrawn books that Thrawn has this program, the TIE Defender program, that he is trying to get funds for, as opposed to being funneled into the Death Star program, which he learned, Thrawn winds up learning about later. Mm-hmm. And Lothal is one of those planets that is being centralized for research into ties and development. And think about this, 15-year anniversary of the Empire's creation right on this day. It's wild. Mm-hmm. And also get that it's Ezra's birthday. And he is also 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Start to get more questions.
Yeah. Well, we get even more questions as we find a Rhodian named of Sibo.
Sibo.
Yeah, who is a friend of Ezra's parents and who is like basically a living computer.
He is Lobot.
Yeah, probably worse, honestly.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
no,
he can talk, so
no, Lobot's worse. We know more about Lobot backstory from the comics, so Lobot's definitely worse off. Man. Poor Lobot, terrible. Sibo is an interesting character because again, he's sort of disconnected from reality, but in reality, he has a vast amount of information about the Empire in his brain. Mm-hmm. Through his implant. Ezra's mad at Sibo.
Very.
He kind of thinks that Sibo sort of sold them out, potentially even sold out his parents after it is revealed that his parents were arrested for, anti-Empire radio, bro. This is your pirate radio broadcast on WKFM Lothal.
Rebel radio.
Yeah. Do you think they had a jingle? Had some pop drops, just going through there. Have a Loth cat meow, God, I don't know. Fart sounds. Oh, man. So anyway, Sibo is essentially, he's not like catatonic, but he is not able to really defend himself. And, we're dealing with a teenager here, man. Mm-hmm. Ezra's confused. His parents are gone. He sees this long-lost friend who left to go work for the Empire. And it is revealed that, he allowed himself to be implanted with the cybernetics so they could steal information. And this winds up being a huge win for the rebels. But he's also being searched for by the Empire. And the Ghost is able to smuggle him off of Lothal, which is great. But you're dealing with an entire city full of troopers and big Imperial propaganda day. So it's quite a struggle to get him out, but he does. And Sibo does sort of regain some of himself towards the end of the episode, and sort of in quotations reveals what he knows about Ezra's parents. Mm-hmm. So, anything more about that episode that you wanted to talk about?
We do get a little thing near the end where they're getting attacked by creatures, and Ezra is kind of at this point completely unfocused, unable to use any semblance of the Force, and he does end up finally forgiving Sibo right at the end. And again, it's a big theme throughout the series. Ezra has these little blockages, but when he can actually just focus and be at peace, he is a ridiculously strong Force user, and it's already been set up at this point that his potential is insane, truthfully.
Yeah. So this does bring us into episode 9, Gathering Forces, and we're not out of hot water. This is more of a continuation of episode 8, where they're on the run at this point. So they were able to smuggle Sibo out, but now they're on the run. Ezra does learn that Sibo wasn't able to save Ezra's parents. Ezra lashes out again, and the Empire is able to attach a homing beacon to the Ghost. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Oh, there was the part where I think it was Kanan and Ezra that took the Phantom or something, or took like Phantom 2 here. I'm forgetting some of the intimate details, but they do detach and attempt to kind of confuse the Imperials.
Well, isn't this where they use the little creatures to attack them?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of trying. For some reason, I'm running into a bit of a block because I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so they do go back to that asteroid planet, and you're right. They are able to use the creatures. Ezra, unfortunately, this is very interesting because Ezra is able to summon a much larger one of these creatures, but the creatures in general to attack the Inquisitor. But this is Ezra tapping into the dark side of the Force. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I remember him saying, he feels cold and everything. Mm-hmm. And Kanan kind of explains to him, sort of what he was tapping into and why it's dangerous. But
right
at this point, Ezra's so angry that, this is his reaction in his anger, which is fascinating because it is pretty big feat there.
Yeah.
If you think about it. Instinctually to do that.
Yeah, and truthfully, there's not many pieces of lore where Sith Lords are able to commune with creatures, so it's interesting that he's able to tap into the dark side and use that ability.
Yeah, well, I mean, bending to his will sort of deal. Mm-hmm. They are able to escape, and once they're sort of out of there, Sabine gives Ezra a picture of his parents, found it at the house. So that was nice.
Yeah,
and we bring Sibo to Fulcrum, and that's kind of our episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to episode 10, Path of the Jedi. This is where we get Super Jedi on them.
Yeah, this is personally probably my favorite episode of the season. I don't know about you.
It is a great episode. I don't actually know if it's my favorite. Maybe. It's darn good. But we learn that there is a Jedi temple on Lothal. Mm-hmm. I mean, just conveniently, obviously.
Yeah. One that just pops up out of the ground,
It's in a spire. It's fine. It's rock place. But Kanan is concerned about Ezra, and they go to the temple. They are using both of their abilities, are able to raise the temple, and I guess Kanan's, I guess his main resolution here is just to sort of even see if Ezra's really ready. It's like a test, Ezra goes through one of the doors while Kanan sort of stays behind, and Ezra has some gnarly visions.
Yeah. That's funny. Before we even get into the visions, he asks, it's hard to focus with all these skeletons around. Who are they? It's like, these are just all the other masters that had the same stupid idea I had, and, their Padawans died along with them. So don't do this to me, please.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. In Ezra's visions, the Inquisitor does show up and actually kills Kanan and the rest of the Ghost crew, because he sort of flashes in and out of the temple and into the Ghost, and again, it's his fears, losing his new family in gruesome fashion to an unbeatable kind of enemy here. However, we get the helping hand of Master Yoda, which is an interesting choice to bring in here.
Yeah,
and Yoda both appears to Ezra, his voice, and then also appears to Kanan. Kanan, and I honestly think that this is as much a test for Kanan as it is for Ezra. Probably more so.
I would say that Kanan gets a lot more out of the communion with Yoda, truthfully.
Oh, 100%. 100% he does.
He does so much more for him.
Yeah, and I also liked that this wasn't like just solely disembodied voice Yoda, that you actually see Force Ghost Yoda. Like he does physically help them. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a good choice. But yeah, I think this gives Kanan a lot of confidence to move forward, which apparently he still needs. And also leads Ezra to a kyber crystal so that he can build his very own lightsaber.
Awesome lightsaber.
Yeah, the gun saber.
Yeah, I love his saber. It's gimmicky, but I just love it.
Well, I remember conversations way back when on Rebel Watch where the talk was about, about why would you have a lightsaber with a gun on it? Well, he's untrained. Well, it makes a lot more sense, but the thing is like you're talking about a kid who's being trained by a guy who was never fully trained.
Right.
So
who also carries a blaster on him, and
true.
It does affect him seeing that, I'm sure.
Yeah. But it gives him a secondary weapon, something offensive or defensive, depending on how you look at it, while he learns to wield the saber. So, I mean, I think it's a great idea. And then obviously when he gets older and he creates his, kind of lifelong saber potentially, probably wouldn't include that forever. But for the time being, you get a little stun thing. Mm-hmm. And it is cool. It was a really cool original design.
Yeah, especially when you get to see its full potential when Kanan wields it. It's pretty sweet.
That is true. Yeah, when Kanan wields it better. You know what? We haven't really mentioned this. I actually really like Kanan's saber.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it definitely has.
I wouldn't mind having one that you had to take apart, put back together to activate. That'd be pretty sweet.
Well, it does kind of have the look of, I don't want to say like a Padawan saber, but just something that's not fully refined, not fully complete.
Which makes sense with his level of training.
Yeah, exactly. But it's really cool. I can't remember if it was Saber Forge or one of those saber manufacturers back when I was looking at that kind of stuff. Did have a really nice replica of it. And I did consider that.
And by the way, it's brushed over very quickly, but we do kind of get a little nod to, another Jedi of old when he mentions, oh, you just hit that, and then that changes the length of the blade. It's like, yeah, you do that. You do that dual phase.
Yeah, we don't talk about that much.
No, that doesn't exist.
Anyway. So, definitely a really cool episode. Let's move on to episode 11. I was going to say issue 11 like we're talking comics. And this one's titled Idiot's Array.
Yes, another kind of funny, not really helping with the plot episode.
Yeah, it's true. And we get Lando, Lando Calrissian, Zeb. Was it Zeb or was it Kanan who loses in Sabak to
It was
Lando?
Zeb. Okay. Kanan encourages him, but Zeb loses.
Okay. And basically they bet Chopper.
Which if Lando knew Chopper, it really wouldn't be a very good, pot to win.
Well, yeah, but Lando I think is really about just winning whatever he can.
Doesn't matter to him either way.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, there's not really much to say about this. Essentially, Lando is trying to smuggle a pig, like a puffing pig.
Yeah. Pufferfish pig.
Yeah, on a Lothal that essentially can detect like minerals.
It's like it's a mining tool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't he describe it as almost like a mining drill of some kind, or was it just to detect?
No, pretty much same thing. Instead of like a truffle pig, it's like it's like a platinum pig. I'm gonna go find some cool stuff. Hey, look, Lando, I found some coaxium under here. It's great. So the job in order to effectively get Chopper back, is to smuggle this pig onto Lothal, which they do. However, we have a run-in with Az Morgan, who I'm pretty sure we do have a little bit more to do with later on. But Az Morgan, the guy who voices Az Morgan was a guy who I thought voiced the chicken on Resistance.
Yeah.
It's not, but they have it was a similar kind of vocal performance.
Yeah.
But that's Morgan. Dude, he's got like little tiny legs. Like, how is he even walking?
Right.
I whatever. I don't get it. But, again, classic Lando making, bad deals, solo thing to do too. Mm-hmm. And again, they're able to drive off as Morgan and his goons with Chopper's help, obviously. And they kind of part ways. Now, this is by the way, they also steal some fuel from Lando, as their payment.
Yeah.
Good times. This is one of those episodes, though, that people do have some problems with because, Lando kind of hits on Sabine a little bit.
Yeah. Which I thought was funny, honestly, especially Ezra's reaction to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like a humorous aspect, but I'm pretty sure Sabine is like maybe a little older than Ezra, but still like a kid.
Yeah, right.
So it is kind of like scumbag Lando in a way. I don't know. I just know that there's some people that get a little weird about that one.
Right.
So anyway, but yeah, kind of a filler episode, but not bad. Not a bad episode at all. Let's move on to episode 12, Vision of Hope. And this is an interesting one as well because we get a little bit more of the Force side of things as Ezra has a vision of Senator Gul Travis, who is supposed to be this voice of the rebellion.
Yeah.
I'm outlaw Senator Gul Travis and Empire bad, me good. Hey, let's meet at a cool spot. They're on Lothal type of deal. But unfortunately, nothing is as it seems. But Ezra is so hard driving in this episode, and it's important because we see this from time to time where visions are not infallible. They can be incorrect, and you can misinterpret them. But Ezra believes this with every fiber in his body that Gul Travis is going to, help everybody, right? We also get, we also get a little mini sort of tidbit from Zer Leonis, our friend from the Academy, and essentially the tip was at Callus's again. He's gonna trap you. He painted the tunnel. The tunnel on the rock cliff, and you're gonna run into it, okay? So don't run into it, bro.
Yeah.
And essentially, we do meet Travis.
Yeah.
However, Gul Travis is another plant. He is not a good person, and he is used to capture rebel cells. Mm-hmm. And he's been very successful at it.
He's just a living Luminara, basically. Right.
But the Empire has been very successful at suppressing that fact. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is a very important lesson episode for Ezra, that you can't always hold these visions at face value. Mm-hmm. So, but definitely displays the youngness in him.
Yeah.
However, Hera's a BA and outsmarts Travis. So There you go. Hera saves the day, knocks him out.
Happens a lot in this show.
Very true. But again, God, Force visions, man. When have we ever had a Force vision of anything in any book or episode that was just good?
Truthfully, who would want a Force vision? Because I can tell you right now, that is the last power I would ever want to have, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, how about a power that makes you paranoid and crazy? Yeah, no, I'm good.
Well, dude, have you ever had deja vu before?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be scary as crap.
Yeah. It's one of those moments like you have an existential crisis, like, am I going insane?
Yeah. Or
am I just in the Twilight Zone?
Exactly. Well, let's move on here to episode 13, Call to Action. And we get to see Grand Moff Tarkin in this episode, called in to deal with the rebels. And you know that if Tarkin's coming in here, bro, whew.
Things are getting real now.
Yeah.
About to blow up some planets.
Well, you know, he's not very kind to Callus or the Inquisitor. And again, it's like, it's one of those things that we've always said that, you know, I think we both would have been cool if Tarkin was the main bad guy, you know, and not the Emperor, because
he's good at it. He's good at it.
Well, even the Inquisitor backs down.
Right.
He's like a dark side pseudo Sith guy.
Yeah. He even listens to him when he executes the two goofy little what rank are they? Can't think of their names. They were on one of the first episodes. They were on the first episode. Like Ezra tricks them into leaving a stall merchant alone.
Oh, yes. One of them wasn't one of them with the academy, and the other one was like a lieutenant or something like that.
Yes,
yeah.
That's
the gray guys.
Yeah. Just straight up has Grand Inquisitor execute them. Yeah.
And again, we had talked. I'm glad you brought that up because we have talked about the violence of Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely some violent stuff in this show too.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, there is. And it really just scales up from here.
Yeah. No doubt. So largely the big premise for the Ghost crew in this episode is they are looking to broadcast a message. Mm-hmm. Kind of bumming off of the idea of Ezra's parents broadcasting these messages of hope.
Right.
And they also think that they're pretty good here, that, you know, maybe they have surprise on their side. However, again, they didn't anticipate Tarkin, and Tarkin does anticipate their plan. And this is to go to, was it like a broadcast tower and spike it, chopper, you know, because spiking it requires a literal spike in this.
Right.
This context. Ezra is able to send out a message. However, Kanan is captured and the tower is destroyed. Mm-hmm. And then we move on to episode 14, Rebel Resolve. This is where we start to, you know, really get into the, I don't want to say the bad side, but the other side of a rebellion, a small rebellion.
Yeah.
The Ghost is being told by Fulcrum to go into hiding. And whereas the crew is trying to find Kanan. And Hera is kind of left with the sort of difficult task to tell them that we have to leave Kanan. And, you know, it's obvious from the beginning that her and Kanan have a relationship.
Right.
But it's not necessarily made outwardly obvious until later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for her to make that call is a big deal. It's a big deal. You're talking about love of your life type of thing. Mm-hmm. Now, as we move along here, Ezra does devise a plan to rescue Kanan. They are able to find where Kanan is. We also kind of get a little bit more with Vizago, to kind of do him a favor that I'll repay later. Of course, that won't come back and bite you or anything like that. And we also have sort of a tidbit with Kanan basically being tortured by the Inquisitor for information. Chopper disguises himself as an Imperial courier droid. A lot of fun there.
Painted up.
Yeah, not really great paint, but whatever. Come on, Sabine.
You can do better.
A little bit. Let's see here. But again, they do disguise Chopper to gain information, to help them actually find Kanan, which they are able to get. And we sort of end the episode with the realization that Tarkin plans to bring Kanan to Mustafar. Mm-hmm. And Hera has this line, basically this is where Jedi go to die. Mm-hmm. And of course we know that Mustafar is Vader's domain, which makes a lot of sense. You would take a Jedi to Vader, right?
Yeah. Right.
Vader would totally just kill all of them.
Right.
In normal circumstances, they would just all be dead.
Right. But there again, somehow we are able to get the Inquisitors out of it, so.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess he has his fun, see who he can turn.
True. So as we move on to episode 15, our final episode of this season, Fire Across the Galaxy, we, at this point, get our rescue attempt and a return to our TIE fighter, which is now all painted to look, all crazy Mandalorian painting.
Clearly, Chopper's paint job was what was left over from doing this paint job. I got some of this left, so I guess that'll do.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. That would be an interesting ship if they were just gonna use it to attack. It's like, what's that thing? I mean, it's all.
Is that a tie? That's a tie, sir.
Are you sure it's all painted?
The screeching noise of it flying across the galaxy is slightly higher pitched just because of the paint, just more feminine.
Yeah. Well, I do kind of move a little bit here because this episode does get really epic. Mm-hmm. Epic really fast. And gives a really kind of crazy resolution to this, which isn't truly resolute, but we'll talk about that. So anyway, they are able to get on to Tarkin's Star Destroyer. Mm-hmm. Ezra is able to free Kanan. And upon their attempt to escape, they are ambushed by the Inquisitor in the engine room. Ezra falls, and I guess Kanan maybe thinks that he's dead. Maybe.
Yeah, even though there's a panning view later, it's clearly he could just look down and saw him, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Well, it gives him enough to, looks like I don't have to worry about the kid anymore. I'm going to murder you now. So,
now I have no fears. It's like when you're talking about fear, was like fear of always having him or fear of losing him?
Yeah, exactly. Kanan is actually able to best the Inquisitor. Yes. So, first of all, when they first meet, I don't remember what form he was using, but it's you favor form whatever, ridiculously.
I think it was 3.
Yeah. And now Kanan is actually able to defeat the Inquisitor, really exploiting one of the stupidest parts of that dumb, spinny lightsaber. The giant gap.
Yeah, right in the middle. I love how let's be honest, when they do that, it slows down, slow motion stuff. It's this is super cheesy.
It did feel a little cheesy. I understand why they did it because they really want to.
Well, it makes sense.
They want you to show
It just showcases how stupid the lightsaber design is.
Yeah, I've always thought they were dumb. I mean, obviously later on we I guess show that they can help them fly like a helicopter.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. It's a little bit whatever. It's fine.
Well, the logistics of the saber make no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it's true. Well, the Inquisitor falls really by choice to his death.
After saying something quite ominous. Ominous.
Like what? What did he say? Death is only the beginning?
No, it was like something.
No, that was the mummy.
Death. There are things worse than death, something like that.
Yeah.
What you started here is just the beginning.
What we do see him. What was the comic that we saw? Was it the Vader comic series?
Yes, I believe so. He's like a spirit of some kind.
His spirit is basically still enslaved.
Yeah.
God, Rebels isn't new. We see him later in the series as well, in the garb of a temple guard. So he does come up a few different times throughout the history of lore. So he's not truly gone, but the character in and of itself is gone at this point. Well, guess what? Ezra's alive. And they're able to escape. Yay! The last part here is an awesome reveal. The rebels are, they do meet up with Senator Organa and Fulcrum, who is revealed to be none other than Ahsoka Tano. And then we also get the reveal of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Because Tarkin's not happy.
Yeah.
So he brings out the big dog. What did you think about sort of the Vader redesign, like the helmet and everything?
Oh, man, there are a lot of people that hated that. But truthfully, honestly, for a cartoon, I actually enjoyed it to an extent.
I thought it looked scarier.
Yeah, it did. Everything's thinner in Rebels, so it's not surprising to me that the helmet's just a little more slimline, like the lightsabers and everything else. So it fits with the art style, and yeah, it's creepy. It's just super creepy.
Right. Yeah, that was... Yeah.
And obviously, spoiler territory, but when we get into the final fight between Ahsoka and Vader, and we get that part where she cuts a part of the helmet off, that's super creepy. It's awesome.
Yeah, true. It is definitely getting later. We didn't really talk about the thin sabers. What were your feelings on that? Because me personally, I guess I didn't really hate it, but I actually like fatter sabers.
You do like them?
No, I like fat sabers, like big beams of light. I think it looks cooler visually.
I don't know. It depends on the context. Like, I feel like Clone Wars sabers were a little bit better, truthfully.
I would agree.
What I don't like about it, it's not that it's a thin saber, it's the tip. I don't like how
just
pointed.
Just the tip?
I don't like how I know. I couldn't say that without, just inviting that in. But seriously, it's like a needle. Like, it's too pointed. I don't like how pointed it is. Sabers have a rounded end. I mean, it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I thought it was a strange design.
Well, and it's the way they showcase it, right? Like, there's so many battles where, I've disarmed you. I'm just going to, go ahead and put my saber right by your neck. They showcase it on purpose. And it just feels off for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And then what were your thoughts on the reveal of Ahsoka? I mean, we kind of already knew if you read the Ahsoka book first or whatever.
Right. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. I mean, I had already had my suspicions at the point where they start showing the hooded figure as Fulcrum. It's like, that's a Jedi robe. It's definitely a Jedi.
Yeah.
Who's left? Let's just do a mental breakdown. Who's left? Logistically, who would it be?
True. No, I thought it. Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought
yes, it's
getting
amazing.
her in here was a good choice. Mm-hmm. Continuing the storyline was a good choice. She's a character that grows on you.
Yes,
and I think her contributions to this show were great. Personally,
yes.
I think
they were
great.
Very appreciated. We get more into the Grey Jedi stuff with her. The sabers are awesome. The final fight.
There he goes again with those Grey Jedi.
Qui-Gon Jinn was a great Jedi. Okay.
Grey Jedi don't exist.
Well, I guess you could just argue that true Jedi exist, not Grey Jedi, but that's a topic for another day. But your final fight with Vader, everything, her bond with Ezra, everything about Ahsoka in this show is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, no doubt. She's epic. We all know that.
Yeah.
But really, that reveal of Vader, it's like I think that's when it just gets real. Because again, in the early parts of this, we have those development episodes, right? Mm-hmm. And I wonder how people took those as they were coming out, because I think when you view the series as a whole, sometimes things look different, and those those
coming
are very
out week to week, waiting for it would be so much different,
right? But they are very important to the whole story, mm-hmm. And now we're really getting into the fire more of actually fighting this rebellion. And we've kind of developed our folks. We've figured out their closeness factor, and I think that was a really good thing to get out of the way.
Yes, I agree.
So yeah,
sets up for an epic second season too.
Yeah, no doubt. I think this show only gets better as it goes along. Personally, mm-hmm. Like I said, it's my favorite, but. So let's do a couple of things here. So favorite episode of the season, I think you were sticking with
episode 10, which was
Path of the Jedi.
Path of Jedi. Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
And truthfully, the only reason I picked that is because I feel like it's a bit of a cop-out to go with finales in a way. Because the finale's amazing in it too, and so's the opening 2-part episodes. They're great.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. As a single episode, yeah, that probably was the best one. I think that the 3-part ending was very good.
Yes.
Kanan's sort of standoff and capture and all the things they had to go through to get him back. I think it really does invest you in the characters, and this is part of the problem that I've had with other mediums, where we just keep throwing characters, and we don't spend the time to really develop them all that much. And that was a little bit of a complaint with Mandalorian, where we just burn through characters, and maybe they come back, maybe they don't. Sometimes you give them an epic moment like Bill Burr's character, and then sometimes you don't.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, there was nothing forced on here. It was just good writing. It was just overall a well written first season. So
yeah.
What other thoughts do we have on Rebels season 1? What about the art style? You kind of think a little bit more about that than I do. What about the art style?
Well, coming off of Resistance, anything's an improvement in my opinion, but I do enjoy the art style quite a bit. They really focused, Clone Wars was an okay art style. I thought that some things like Obi-Wan's beard and things of that nature were kind of odd in Clone Wars, but for the most part, it was good. Resistance, I just didn't like the art style at all. But when it comes to Rebels, I felt like they really focused and used the art style to make every single character have a personality without even looking at them. Mm-hmm. Even down to the clothes they wore, they really put a lot of time in it, especially characters like Sabine. I think Sabine's probably one of my favorite characters in the entire show, and there's so much effort put into her character, all of her art pieces, and even down to just hair color and whatnot. But I like the design of Ezra. Hera's awesome. The eyes, for some reason, of these characters just really stand out to me quite a bit, especially Hera.
Yeah, the art style was obviously very different from Clone Wars and as different than Resistance was from all the other two. I do prefer it. Obviously, we have some minor discrepancies with just the sabers and the you talk about tight fitting clothes, man. Looks like your body's contorting at times. But yeah, I mean, I think that they did a lot of attention. I think it was a good move.
Mm-hmm. The ships also. The TIE fighters were really well done, I thought. Speeder bikes are pretty cool in it as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it felt good. It definitely was a good feeling art style.
Man, but those again, make you hungry. That's so good.
I'm not going to go that far. But we do get more of Sabine as we go along. I felt that it was very Ezra heavy, obviously, and it was very Zeb heavy at times. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Kanan, but Sabine does get some arcs, which I think were definitely warranted because at least just as a minor feeling, I do kind of feel like at times they put her in the background a bit. Mm-hmm. For the most part, but we learn a lot more about her as we go along, which I'm appreciative of. Mm-hmm. What else, man? What else we got?
Music. How do you like the theme? How do you like the music in this?
I mean, I don't know that I've really had any Star Wars music that I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't think I really noticed much in the way of music in Resistance. And I thought Solo could have been a little bit better musically.
Yeah, you definitely have your standouts more like Rogue One, and Solo just kind of falls in the background.
Right. But no, I mean, I think that I'll be honest, I don't really have a lot of thoughts on that right at this very second because it's not really coming to my mind. But I do remember in certain parts of the series in general, I remember the music being very impactful, though. But again, I think it's one of those things that Star Wars usually does music pretty well in general. So
they do. I felt like, obviously we've watched this show quite a few times. I feel like compared to a few other seasons, the music was a little bit flat for me on season 1. I mean, obviously we don't really have much of an intro, and what we do have is kind of just spliced together from other scores, I feel like. So music was a bit of a letdown for me in this one, but it does get better, if my memory serves me correctly, as we go along.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I there are parts of the series that I remember the music being more impactful. So
yeah,
I guess I probably have to agree with you because I can't really bring much to mind. They have the little.
That's the point. I think that's the point because usually you can.
Right. Well, I mean, when like Kanan and Ezra feel each other through the Force, you get the little
doo
doo doo doo doo, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Little violin going there. But yeah, I mean, it's Star Wars. The music is pretty synonymous, so I wouldn't. Well, but what about the theme song? What do you think about the Rebels theme song, though?
You mean just like the quick little intro thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a bit generic. Again, I feel like it's like you just cobble together a few other things in the universe and you just make a theme song out of it instead of creating your own thing. It wasn't personally my favorite, but honestly, we could be thinking about other things. For me, it's just like when the Rebels logo flashes real quick. It's like a 3-second blurb, and then it goes back to the show. That's what we're talking about, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, there is a theme, but I know that they do. They do have it cut down, but yeah. I mean, I
guess I would have to listen to the full theme again because I haven't heard it in a long time.
No, I'm with you. And is that a danger we kind of get into with the whole binge watching Disney Plus thing?
As far as like skipping the intros and not really focusing yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we planned this out like weeks ahead and like watched one episode per night, I feel like in a way we might digest it a bit better instead of going back to back to back. Get to that point where it's like, all right, you're starting to get tired, or you'd rather be doing something else, so you're not digesting it quite the same way.
Sure. No, but I will say probably the best example of musical score probably for me, kind of is Rogue One. I just think they clicked on a lot of different cylinders.
Well, the emotion in it.
Yeah.
It really lends to the emotion of the film.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to beat the originals, obviously.
Sure.
But there was something special about, our theme music for this
right.
for this podcast is based upon, the person who did that for us. It was based upon the Rogue One music. So, yeah, pretty epic. But anyway, I think that this is a good start to a series, and obviously as we go along, we'll integrate more Rebels in, and we'll talk about it more. But we have a lot. We have a lot on the docket, a lot of different things, and then here before we know it, we'll be chatting up Bad Batch.
That's right, and they'll kind of consume us for quite a while. Oh, excuse me, Darth is sleepy. But yeah, that will end up consuming us for quite a while. It'll be like Mandalorian to an extent. Shorter episodes, but yeah, definitely take up a lot of time. I'm sure once we're done with that, we're going to get back into Rebels again. I'm excited to do our final thoughts on season 4.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we should have all this finished up before Ahsoka, but
yeah, and hopefully by then we might have some info on a potential season 5, or at least wrapping up and explaining some things.
Well, like I said, I mean, I kind of get the impression that the Ahsoka series is season 5, effectively.
Yeah. I still do hold out a little bit of hope, though, that we'll get a Clone Wars-esque finale where we'll just wait a few years and finally get back to it. But it would make sense if Ahsoka finishes all that.
Yeah, but then what is the Ahsoka series supposed to be about?
Ahsoka's done a lot of awesome things, and I'm sure there's stories to tell, but true, I think her time with the Rebels cast is probably the most memorable, truthfully, other than Clone Wars era.
Well, I'll be honest. I think it would be a mistake to go do live action and then try and do animated afterwards. I think you do one or the other. You keep the medium in one or the other.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is if we get into like adding Sabine into it, and if we wanted to go back to the animated and add Ahsoka back in, it would just be kind of an awkward transition. You're right.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, as far as Sabine goes, you had a very successful Bo-Katan.
Yes, I am very hopeful for Sabine. I think they're going to do an amazing job. There's no reason they can't. They've already done Mandalorians right. There's no reason they can't do it again.
Yeah. So I think as long as they stick to the formula, again, you could have an awesome Sabine, and I think that that would probably blow people's minds to see a live action Sabine Wren. Yeah, continue. Well, I mean, I think people would go nuts for that.
Imagine just the opening scene where she's first revealed. She picks up the Darksaber, looks at it, and just kind of tosses it aside, Luke style.
Yeah. I am kind of afraid for the Ahsoka series. I kind of wonder if that's almost too nerdy. But people bought into the Mandalorian, and he was carrying around a little Yoda the whole time.
I feel like everything with Ahsoka is fairly nerdy. I mean, you had to have paid some attention to other than the movies to know who she is. So I don't feel like that's too nerdy.
No, I'm just talking about like
7 seasons into Clone Wars. You should have put some time into Rebels. I mean,
well, yeah, I'm just talking about like continuing that arc. You know, because then you're gonna have to.
Well, you got Thrawn to deal with. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, there's potentially Thrawn, there's Sabine, there's potentially Ezra, and I don't know, man. I mean,
potentially Inquisitors.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that the Inquisitors would be all. Well, I don't know, but man, Ahsoka was so well done. I don't know, man. I really don't. I think it could be done. I don't know. I don't know because people, in order to be invested, Mandalorian, you had no buy-in in. You didn't have to know much to watch Mandalorian. You would have to know some stuff to watch, effectively Ahsoka Season 5 Rebels sort of live action.
But
maybe it's for the fans, man.
Well,
the real ones.
I was going to say, I don't like saying for the fans, but like, you don't have to hold a Star Wars fan's hand. I mean, I would like to think a decent amount of us are good at knowing most of the lore, at least to an extent. I can't think of any Star Wars fan that I know that doesn't know about Ahsoka to some extent. Might not be their favorite.
Sure.
But if you know about Ahsoka, more than likely I can talk to you about Rebels.
Yeah, but it always becomes the casual fan who just mainly watched Mandalorian, you know?
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, what's all this stuff? Why?
But you get into all these shows that are about to come out, you can't treat them like Mandalorian. You can't do that with Obi-Wan. You cannot do that with Obi-Wan. So I don't feel like you should with Ahsoka either.
I'm aware, but the issue again, Disney is trying to appeal to a mass audience, you know?
Yeah. Very true.
So we'll see. Hopefully the Ahsoka series does wind up being good. Like I said, there's been more speculation, but it's not necessarily anything concrete at this time. Mm-hmm. But we'll get there, just like with everything.
Yeah.
So I think we've yacked about enough here, and unless you had any parting thoughts or.
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything.
All right. Well, folks, hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. Get out and watch Rebels, man. Finish that up if you haven't already. You know, for your nutballs like us who didn't watch Resistance for like years and years.
There's a difference.
Fine. But anyway, yeah, Rebels is awesome. We were glad to talk about it here a little bit.
Yes.
But yeah, just to start wrapping up, make sure you're following us on the social media at TC Plan Podcast on Twitter. We have a Facebook page. Go ahead and like that page. If you have any thoughts or theories, just pop an email over to us, tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. And if you're crazy and you want to support us, we do have a Patreon, and all that stuff is down in the links and writing down below wherever you're listening to this. And also, be a big help that, if you're listening this on Apple, whatever podcast or whatever, leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing in the little review. I mean, make sure it's 5 stars and then, be nice. But
yeah.
As we used to say, we haven't said it in a while. Leave the negative comments. YouTube. We're there too.
YouTube land.
No doubt. So anyway, guys, you guys have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force be with you.